Okay, I think we're more or less live into the pre-show. Let's see who's over there. The first one today was our Scottish friend John. Hi John. Then of course my social media officer Tommy. Hi Tommy. Who is there? Giles is here. Hi Giles. So I think I am ready. In contrary to last week, it's going to be probably the shortest show of all, because I'm going to talk about vMix call, and there's really not much to say about vMix call. Just going to show you how you set it up, what you have to look after, and now we can have a small chat. That's it's going to be. For the rest, not that much news. NEB is over, as you probably have seen. Everything seems to calm down a little bit. As I said yesterday in Wall Show, I wasn't that impressed with what I saw. I saw a few great things, but it's not that I saw one thing that blew me away and said, "Wow, I want that." Really like the Scarhoy stuff, but hey, Martin, glad you could make it. Yeah, the Scarhoy thing is I think it's genius, the modular design. So you start with a basic thing, and then you say, oh, if you need an instant replay, you can buy it. You put it together, it's magnetic, but the cost of those things. And I like that there are LEDs with text, but yeah. Hopefully, one of these days, if I win the Euro Millions, I move to the Highlands of Scotland, build myself a nice spot over there with my own whiskey brewery, and just do some live streaming. That would be nice, but I don't know if how the internet is over there in the Highlands. Maybe that's something John can. Just out of curiosity, John, how is the internet or besides the big cities? Is the coverage okay there? Internet, or is it like some places in England where Giles lives, where you don't have internet everywhere? I can imagine that in the Highlands you probably have not going to have internet all everywhere. Hi Steve. Oh, we have someone from Arkansas. Guten Abend, Elmar. Willkommen. Yes, Elmar, it's going to be probably the shortest episode of all, because there's not that much to say about vMix call. Okay, guys, it's 8 o'clock, so let's start the show. This show is sponsored by Xkeys, the company that knows how to push the button. Hello everyone, welcome to this 10th episode of School of Live Streaming. It's been a good week for me. Um, but sorry, Stella. It's been a good week, and what I want to say is, yeah, last week after, I think it was on Wednesday, I had a small chat with Martin for NAB, and my voice was almost completely gone, and on Thursday it was gone. So I was thinking, oh, this is going to cause some problems. But during the weekend it became better. It's not 100%, but yeah, let's give it a go. One thing about last week, I also have put it into my Facebook group. That was an apology for the quality that I presented last week. To be honest, and I know you guys were all very friendly, but it was a mess. And when I was rewatching the episode of last week, it came to me that's now the second time that I wasn't really happy with what I presented. And what I noticed is whenever I have a topic that I know very well, then it's going wrong. So I have everything under control. I'm not nervous, but it's too quickly that I'm losing myself and go sideways. Oh yeah, by the way, you can do it that way, you can do it that way, you can do it that way. So that's a big lesson for me. Whenever I'm talking about a subject that I think I know very well, that I have to slow down and explain everything how it should be. Now, speaking about live streaming to Facebook and YouTube, I think I put a link also on my Facebook group. I think there's also a link in the SOLS group. Facebook changed again their policy, and they're asking now every possible partner, that for us it's vMix, to ask kind of a permission again to do the live streaming via the API. So last week I showed you how you can avoid that problem when you were streaming live to Facebook and YouTube by using RTMP. This is the same for to avoid this problem. Just use RTMP. Till next week I'm going to do a pre-recorded show, and I'm going to put it on my site and on the YouTube channel how you can use RTMP. But it seems that Facebook is constantly changing their policy. Okay, quick look at the chat. Okay, so then it's time for subject of the day, and that's vMix call. vMix call was introduced, I think, in vMix 19, and personally for me, vMix 19 is the version that brought a lot of new stuff. The main one was vMix call, of course. When I wasn't using vMix, I played with some other software, and I bought a real audio mixer. Why? I was using Skype to bring in guests, and whenever you bring in a Skype guest, I had a Mac Mini for each guest, so I had 2 Mac Minis, but then you had to route all the cables to make a mix minus, and we're going to talk a little bit later what that does, mix minus, but it was not easy to do. And then vMix came out, and hold or behold, everything was working without a problem. So it's really huge if you want to bring in one or multiple guests. If you see now that Wirecast, as in is not the latest version but the previous one, they have also seen the potential, and they have their own system, kind of a vMix call of their own. So it's everyone is seeing people want to bring in guests. Skype is working on a new system, but before that's going to work, Martin Sinclair of vMix is going to help Microsoft with the mix minus thing, because it seems that Microsoft doesn't know what they're doing on that. Now, before I show you how it's worked, I prepared a small presentation, and let's see if that's working. Okay, so what are the features of vMix call? One, you can add remote guests using only a web browser and a webcam, so it's very easy. Almost every browser is supported. On PC, Chrome, Firefox is supported. I've tested it on Mac with Chrome, Safari, iOS is supported. It's a peer-to-peer encryption to ensure a secure low latency connection. So the latency is really good and it's secure. For me, the most important thing is the auto mix minus technology, what prevents echo and saving time to set up. So what mix minus is doing is it's sending you all the audio I want minus your own voice, because if I send you back your own voice, you're going to hear feedback in your headphones or earphones, and that's really annoying. That's why mix minus is so important. It's full duplex, high quality audio for all guests in the return feed. What that means is that we can talk to each other. If you don't have full duplex, you have to wait till one person has stopped talking, and then I can talk, and then the other person can talk again. So full duplex is really interesting. There's a built-in return video audio feed for each guest, up to 1080p for 4 megabits per second. And when you have the right version, you can select any of the 4 outputs. It's in the 4K version and in the Pro version as a return video. What that means is, instead of with the other versions, whatever I sent out to the stream is also what my guests are going to see. With the 4K version and the Pro version, I can send something else to my guests. So that can be very interesting for a pre-show or whatever. So I can choose whatever I sent there. Now, and I've seen that I unfortunately skipped one of the slides. So the availability of vMix call. Not every version has vMix call. The 3 most expensive versions have vMix call. vMix HD has the possibility to bring in 1 caller. vMix 4K has the possibility to bring in 2 callers. And vMix Pro, the version I have, can bring in 8 callers. So what that means is, with my version, if I have enough bandwidth, I can bring in 8 callers. So that's really great. Now, what are other features of vMix call? That's, you can select whatever you want as a return audio feed. Normally, you just send out your master, but I can send my headphones to one of the people who is in the greet room. If I solo him, I can talk with him without you guys are hearing what I'm saying. And when you use the A bus or the B bus as a return feed, if multiple people are waiting into the green room, I can talk to them without you guys hearing them. But how all the audio buses are working is something for another show. And what's also really interesting in vMix call is that it has a dynamic bandwidth estimation that automatically adapts the quality of each guest video on the fly, too much changing network conditions. So if my network speed is going down, vMix is going to try automatically to adapt and give me a lower bandwidth. And something I'm not using, but video and audio for each guest is available over NDI. If you activate the NDI option, it means that every guest that's in vMix call is available throughout the network, so you can send whatever to whoever that's on the network. And the last slide I prepared what are the requirements for vMix call. For a network connection, vMix recommend 2 megabits up, 2 megabits down per guest. So if you want to bring in 8 guests, that means 16 megabits. I think that's I can't do it. I have more or less 20 megabits, but I'm using 4 megabits for my YouTube stream, a little bit of headroom. So probably I could bring in maybe 4 or 5 guests. But do the guests need? Approximately 2 megabits down, 600 up to have a good connection. And for the PC, if you bring in 1 guest, the quad-core 2 gigahertz is good. If you want to bring in 8 guests, you need a really decent laptop. So that's it for the boring part. Now, how to bring in a guest via vMix call. And I hope it's going to work here. Okay, you're seeing the thing. So it's as with all the other sources you want to bring in. And let me share my screen here. You click on Add Input. And here, completely at the bottom, you have video call. If you click on video call, you're going to see this one, this screen. Here, this is the logo, of course. Host a call, that's what I'm going to do now. And here you're seeing some figures. If someone is now using those figures, it comes into vMix call, but I'm not going to answer. So it's just to give you an example. What you can do then is copy these figures and send your guest this thing. They have to go to www.vmixcall.com and put in the password over there. We're going to go to vMix call a little later. Or you can send them, and this was new in a later version, it wasn't there in the beginning. You can send them this link. So it's always a new link. Copy the link, you send it via mail, and if they click on that, they're all automatically going to be connected. Now here the return feed is what you're going to send to your guest. So video source, the smallest version, you're only going to have output 1. I can choose here whatever I want to send to my guest, output 1, 2, 3, or 4. The video bandwidth, I'm using for the moment the default bandwidth, so 720p, 1200 kilobits per second. But if I know that my guest has a very low bandwidth, I can lower it to 240p, 360p, or if it's someone with a really good bandwidth, I can even send him 1080p 4 megabits. And I've tested it with someone. The quality 1080p 4 megabits is really nice. So, but I'm going to leave it on 720p 1200 kilobits per second. And the audio source, by default, it's the master, but I can send whatever I put in the headphones, or bus A or bus B, to my guests. And there's, if you experience problems, network problems, you can tick here low latency mode, if you have enough bandwidth, and that's going to make it even better. So, but let's say, okay, you say to your guest, now you need to go to vmixcall.com. And let me quickly copy this link. Okay. I'm going to open here a browser, and I'm going to vmixcall.com, and this is the screen your guest is going to see. What you can do here is, let's say that it's Tommy. You click your name here, you put in your name and the password, the numbers that you have given, and you click here on join call, and you're going to be into vMix. It's as easy as that. What are possible problems you're going to experience if it's someone who is using Chrome in your how it is called, the where the URL is staying and all that. On the right hand there where the URL is, you're seeing a camera. If you click on that, you're going to see that you can choose your camera of your browser, you're using of the camera of your laptop, and the audio that you want to send. So if, let's say that I made a vMix call with Tommy and I don't receive any audio, then I can ask Tommy, oh, Tommy, can you see if you're sending me the right audio or the right video? So that's for just for a vMix call. Another possibility is when I go back to vMix here, so what you see here now is this is the call that's being made. If I right click here, you see here, okay, I can choose Open Call Manager. And if I have to switch my screen again, so let me do it again. So here I just right click on my input, I open Call Manager, and you see here it's now ready. If I would click on it, the call is being made, and I can see how much video is being sent, audio being sent with the latency and stuff like that. And I'm not going to click here, but if you click here on this symbol, you're going to get even more information. But it shows you also the IP address, and I don't want to show my IP address. So this is if you want to invite someone who doesn't have vMix also to bring into the show. They just go to a browser, and with their built-in camera and microphone, they can come in. What I've also done, for instance, is you can bring in someone in via phone. So if you go on your phone to vmixcall.com, you put in your name and the password, you can bring in, you can use it as an extra camera, or as some people were doing at NAB, and contact you via that way. So it works also via iPhones and other phones. Hi Mike, hi Mel, great bunch today. So this is just vMix call if you want to send it to someone who doesn't have vMix. Another option, let's say that you want to make, because when you're using it vMix call this way, your guest doesn't have a lot of options. He's just using whatever is into the browser, the camera and the audio. If your guest has also vMix, there's a better way. And let me share my screen again. if I say here add input, video call again, you see here the second option, connect to call. And that's if you're being invited by someone that also has vMix, you can connect to call. You can put here the password I gave you, the name, but you see here that you can then choose your return feed to the host. So I can choose, for instance, oh, I don't want my output 1, I want my output 3. I want to send him so much video bandwidth, so much, and my audio source. So you have, if you have vMix, the best way is use the option connect to call. And then you can choose here your video and your audio source. So that's an even better way. Okay, let me quickly take a look at the chat. What's going on over there? Because to be honest, guys, this is what vMix call is. It's that easy. So last week I talked for almost an hour. So this was it for today. Oh, but just one thing. I was thinking yesterday, what's the point of using vMix call and not bringing in a guest? But then and again, who can I bring in? So that's why I'm honored and privileged that as my first guest on my 10th show, I'll give you live from Iddesleigh, Devon, the UK, the one and only Mr. Giles Warham. Hi Giles, how are you doing?
Fantastic job. I'm doing well, really, thank you. You're doing a fantastic job here. I really love what you're doing. This is fantastic. You're explaining things so well. It's really, really good. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well,
it's an honour for me to be your first guest.
Yeah, thank you for being my first guest. Before I ask a few questions to Giles, what you're seeing here, guys, is what we've been doing a few weeks earlier. So I've created an overlay with 2 boxes, and I've created kind of a lower third that I made in Photoshop, and that's really easy for me to adapt. And what I can do is, if I want to bring Giles full screen, is and I use the merge function that you see. Giles is now full frame. If I click again on merge, Giles is in his box again. So this is a combination of overlays and the merge function. And I wanted to, you see here that I still have a problem with my box because I can't come out of the box. Now, to start the more or less informal interview, Giles, when did you start live streaming, and what brought you to the live streaming world?
When did we start live streaming? It was, Merle will tell me, it was something like September, was it 2016. We were big fans of, well, still are, big fans of Tom Sinclair's show, the Streaming Idiot show, and watched Tom doing it and thought, oh, that looks like fun. Let's give it a go. And that's kind of where it started. But I originally wrote to Merle because I was too scared to come on the air on my own, if I'm honest. So I wrote to Merle and said, will you co-host with me? And that's kind of where it all started, really.
Okay. You've been doing other work also, Giles, for a kind of a history thing. Could you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, around the same time, actually I think it was probably a bit before we got into the actual live streaming, we set up a company called Step Back in Time TV, which is what you can see there, is that right? Yeah.
Yep,
there.
that's right.
And basically we set the company up to make videos about old things, so antique stuff like, I don't know, steam engines, old Land Rovers, gramophones, old film footage, anything really with any kind of historic interest. And the idea was just to sort of kind of create an online virtual museum where people could contribute videos of exhibits, or you know, we could put videos of exhibits in, and really just to try and kind of preserve our heritage, our global heritage, really, which is a bit of a project. But we did a film on a mill, which is 1,000 years old now, and it's still there on its original site, still working, making flour. You know, it's just stuff that you'd have to travel the world to actually go and see that mill, but now anybody in the world can see it through the internet.
Okay. Oh, yes. Okay, I'll try. Yeah, Giles, I'll come immediately back to you, but I just got a notice from the BBC that we need to go elsewhere, and what's one guest? So bringing another guest. What do you think? So, ladies and gentlemen, one of my biggest friends of Walls, live from Colby, Northamptonshire, the one and only Mr. Martin Steed. Welcome, Martin. How are you doing?
Good evening, Rudy. I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, it's great to be on your show. Looking forward to the grilling that you're about to give me, I'm sure.
What made you start live streaming, Martin?
Cool, dear. What made me start? Well, again, stumbling across the Streaming Idiot show, stumbling across Tom's show, and asking at the time Giles and Jon different questions about different things. Now, I originally bought vMix not to live stream. I bought vMix so that I could cut down my workload when it came to video production. So basically try and get rid of some of the post work by live editing. And that was my sole purpose for buying vMix. And online, chatting in Tom's chat with both Giles and Jon, they kind of bullied me into, if I need the answer, I need to come on their show or Giles's show. And that's how they got me into live streaming. Normally I'm the other side of the lens. So yes, Mr. Warham, I do remember.
Yeah, Martin, you're
Not guilty.
You're world famous for your hidden things. When people were watching every Monday, we have a great show at Walls at 9 p.m. UK, 8 p.m. UK, 9 p.m. Brussels. And in the beginning, it was for me always, is he really on the outside or is he using a green screen? But I think one of the most hilarious episodes for me was the ice cream car. So Martin was saying, yeah, I think I'm going to do something. But then suddenly Martin was in an ice cream car. Could you tell a little bit more about that, Martin?
Yeah, I kind of, once I decided to live stream, I thought I wanted to do something that people weren't doing at the time, which was live stream from anywhere. So I looked at getting a system that would allow me to live stream from anywhere. So that's a different story. But the ice cream cart was, I was I was packing up my kit in the boot of my car to go out somewhere on the Monday night to find some random location. And my friend drove past in his ice cream van, and he stops literally about 300 yards, well, less than that, 200 yards up the road from where I live. So I thought, before I go out, I'll just go grab an ice cream. So I went up and said to him, like, you know, can I have an ice cream, please? He said, what are you doing? I said, I'm going out to do some live streaming. And he had a little bit of an interest. So I said, how about doing it from your ice cream van? And he just gave me this crazy look as if to say, are you for real? Yeah. So he come back, that reversed on my driveway and unloading my kit into the side of his ice cream van. And then he's driving around doing his normal round, and I'm setting up vMix to come into the Walls show. So we literally got, I think, the last 3 or 4 stops of his round. I just made sure I didn't get any of the, the public on camera. But yeah, it was hilarious, and it was just an idea that sprang to mind, and he was nice enough to let me carry out my shenanigans in his ice cream van. Yeah.
Yeah, Tommy is saying Martin's go-kart live show was great also. And John is saying, I've ordered Martin a booster cushion for next week.
oh, I must sit up properly. Oh, there we go.
Okay, what I'm now
now
going to do, guys, is I tried a triptych with 3 boxes, but I wasn't happy with the format, and what I'm going to do now is bring Giles and Martin in a 2-letter box, but you're going to see that the box where Martin is, I screwed it up a little bit, so that's something for me to work on. And I'm going to ask them a few questions, but I'm going to stay in the background. If you have any questions for Martin or Giles, don't afraid to ask them into the chat, and I'll see if they're appropriate to ask them. So let me now bring up Giles and Martin box to box, but again, apologies for the way it's being done. So here are the 2 shenanigans side by side, Mr. Warham and Mr. Steed. How do you know each other, Giles and Martin?
Your turn, Giles. You can. No, you can describe how you bullied me into coming online.
Okay, well, Martin says I bullied him into coming in online. Yeah, we met in Tom Sinclair's chat room, and I think I don't remember exactly how I asked Martin to come in on the show, but I think on one of our original shows, you came in when we were doing some testing, didn't you, Martin? And you were kind of in a almost unexpected call, I think, and you were just there from that point onwards. But I think that was about right, wasn't it? I don't really remember. My memory's completely useless. So.
Yeah. There was. I was asking yourself and Jon a question about how to delay a live stream, and you said, "Well, why don't you come into our show on a Monday?" And I said, "Well, you can just kind of tell me in chat, but you wouldn't accept that." So I had to come in to kind of get the answer, if I remember rightly, Mr. Warham.
I'm not sure. I don't remember. Conveniently blank memory there, Martin.
Well, yeah, that's how it happened anyway. But the best thing I ever did to have a serious note to this. At that point, I was always behind the lens. I didn't go in front of the lens at all. So it's quite a scary place to suddenly be put in front of that lens.
Yeah.
And it took quite a bit of getting used to kind of being there and knowing that that people all over the world are watching you. And I think that's the worst part. It's always going through your head that who's watching me, what do they think, blah 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 blah. But luckily, being part of the Walls team, with Giles and Rudy and Merle and Tommy and everyone else that's in there, you forget that, and you're online with your friends,
yep.
and it's great, and it becomes easy when you know that you have those guys behind you who support you in all the stuff that you do. And it just makes life so much easier, and you lose that kind of what do people think, because it doesn't matter. It's as long as you're doing what you want to to do, then that's what counts. So for anyone out there that's watching this, come into the Wall Show. That will be your first step to get in front of that lens, and everyone will be very welcoming for you coming in, and will make you feel welcome. And
that's seems to be, you gave me a great bridge, Martin. Walls. If I have to chime in, it's like Giles was saying, how did it all started? I can't even remember. I think, but I'm not sure, that I was watching, I think, Tom's show also, and there was I saw the chat. What those guys talking about, having fun and all those things, and I think someone told me, "Hey Rudy, where are you from?" Belgium. Oh, you have to come to Walls. And I think I followed Walls for a few weeks. I was always in the background in the chat till the moment someone, I can't even remember if it was Giles or Tommy or you, said you have to come in. And I can assure you, the first time you're going live in a show, it's is my audio good? Is my video good? But that brings us to Walls. And Giles or Martin, how did Walls started? Was it a spin-off of Tom's show, or was it something else?
Oh, I've spoken enough, so I'm going to hand it over to you, Giles.
Okay. Well, just backtracking very slightly to put it in context, like Martin, we got the vMix set up not to do live stuff at all, but watching Tom, and I had no intention of being in front of a video camera either. That was the last place I was going to be when I got the vMix system for our company. I think watching Tom did give me the sort of inspiration to want to do it, and like I say, I wrote to Merle, and Merle kindly agreed to come on Zoom actually and talk to me. We chatted for about 4 Mondays before we did a live show. In fact, I think the first couple of weeks we didn't even, we recorded what we were talking about on Zoom, but we didn't actually put it up on the internet. Then the first 3 shows I think were pre-recorded, because I was still learning my way around and making lots of mistakes, and I didn't want that to be seen live, so I edited it all and then put it up so it looked as though I'd got it right. And then Mel said, "Yeah, we ought to do this live. Let's just do it." And I just said, "Yeah, okay, then let's do it." And that was it. That was the beginning of it. But we called the show This and That because we had no idea what the subject was going to be or anything. We weren't particularly planning on talking about live streaming. That just kind of happened. The people who were there at the time, that's what we were talking about. And that's how it started. And then I discovered there was a show called This and That on another channel. So we put out a call in our Facebook group and said, anybody got any ideas? And between the Facebook group and our group, we came up with World of Live Streaming, which conveniently has the acronym WOLS, which is a bit like idiots. So yeah, that's the connection. And I guess you could say it was inspired by Tom and is a bit of a spin-off of Tom's show. But we've definitely diverged from what Tom does. We're different now. But yeah, well, I suppose it always was different because we always had the multiple presenters. And I would say that about sums it up, doesn't it, Merle? I'm sure Merle will say on here. Oh, I see there's one question on here. How long till I get off? Yeah, okay.
No, it's something I I was rather feeling immediately comfortable in walls because yeah, I don't like to say something negative in my show, but I I see the last couple of weeks, months in, and it's not in Tom's show or whatever, but on Facebook and people really being bullied because they're asking really beginners questions. But I always tell people you may never forget that you were also once a beginner, and that's what I like about walls or in the Facebook group. By the way, people. Talking about the Facebook group, last week something historical happened because the Facebook group of Walls got his 1,000th member. Now, people who are having a group on Facebook, before you get 1,000 subscribers, that means something, because that means that people are like what you do. They like the way you help people, and I think that's one of the biggest strengths of Walls. And I know we discussed it. We discussed it in our shows. People are sometimes criticizing us because they say, yeah, it's more a talk show than something else. But on the other side, we got enormous amounts of people saying, yeah, but every show we're learning something because we have fun, but in every show there's something new. And I remember, Giles, a few weeks ago, you were, oh, I don't have a subject. What are we going to do? It's going to be 10 minutes or so. And an hour later, Mr. Giles Warham was saying, yes, guys, it's a great show, but we've reached the hour mark. So that's what I think make Walls so special. It's, yeah, I still have to experience the first time that someone says it was not okay for me. You were bullying me, or you were not helping me. We always try to help people, everyone in the chat, and as I see. Most of our beginners from Walls, like Merle has his own show now. Tommy is making his steps into a show. So bit by bit, I am trying to see what I can do. So out of Walls are coming a lot of other initiatives, and that's also what I wanted to briefly talk about. All these other initiatives, because we at Walls, we like to give something back to the community. And you and Martin are doing stuff for the church, but also for people who have learning problems, if I'm correct. Can you talk a little bit about that, and which way, of which direction is that going to be? Martin, can you say something about that?
Yeah, of course. Well, initially going back to the Walls thing, Walls was always designed to be a test bed. Walls was always designed to allow people to kind of come into live streaming, and it was never designed to be a polished production. It was always designed to be a test bed, so you can come in and into a safe environment and test some things out with the view of this happening, exactly what you have done, Rudy, which is gone off to do a separate show and have the support of the Walls guys behind you. So it's a very different, so it has that community feel to it. My background doing video work, doing film work, has always had that community feel to it. So the majority of my work is working with anything from young people right the way up to adults, some with learning difficulties, some are at risk and are vulnerable. I work in schools, academies, theatres, churches now looking at putting systems into churches. But it's always about sharing the knowledge that I have, which isn't a huge amount of knowledge, but it is a little bit to get people started. And also taking the knowledge that I've learned from, from the Walls guys, from Giles, from you, Rudy, Mike Latter, who always comes into the shows after. He doesn't come on our live shows, but he's always there. He's always in the background. He's a mind of information. He's been streaming since I think he would be the equivalent of Noah, I think, to be perfectly honest. He was there right at the very start, of streaming. So there's a huge pot of knowledge around, and all I do is take that knowledge in and distribute it wherever I can. I'm really fortunate to be able to work on a project with Giles in Devon, and that's working with a group of people with all sorts of different kind of learning capacities or disabilities, we should say. And it's just brilliant to be able to work with someone who is as enthusiastic about sharing as I am, and it's a pleasure to have that opportunity. So yeah, my roots is all about being able to give people something that I know which will enable them to to better themselves, but to give them choices to make a change or to make something different, or just that little bit of encouragement to get out there and do something.
Yeah,
so.
I think if we can use our knowledge with live streaming to bring people together, no matter who they are or where they are, I think it's a big plus. By the way, Mike Latta is embarrassed with what you've been saying, so I don't think he's going to come on All Wall show again. But okay, those Canadians.
He's a big part of Walls. He's not on the show, but don't be fooled. He's in the background, and we've had some conversations for hours, with Mike, and I've learned lots of things about networking and streaming, and just his he's got the experience. He's been there, so yeah, he's one of us.
Talking about Project Giles, a little bird told me that there is something big coming up somewhere in the beginning of August. Is that correct?
Yes, I think you must be referring to Streamfest Live on August the 4th, Rudy. Is that right?
That's right. What's Streamfest?
Yes.
What is Streamfest?
Okay, Streamfest is like a live streaming convention, but it's entirely online. Anybody can attend, it's free to attend. We have many interesting speakers who've got very interesting subjects to talk about, all to do with live streaming. We also look at a few products, that kind of thing. But it's a long sort of marathon live stream, if you like. We did it for the first time last year. I think the stream was about 14 hours long. And the intention was to actually start the stream here in the UK and then hand it off to somebody else somewhere else around the world. What we're trying to do this year is to fill 24 hours if we can, so we can go all the way around the world. We might have 3 or 4 different people who actually stream the production at different parts of the day. It'll sort of the live stream will kind of follow the sun around the world, as it were, and come back to us again, hopefully. So yeah, there's a lot of potential for it. If we can get enough speakers together to keep going for 24 hours, it'll be an amazing thing.
Is there, if people are interested to watch or to give them up as a speaker, where can they go? Is there a website, Facebook group?
Right, we have, Rudy is actually doing our website, so streamfestlive.com is on its way. If you want to go there and bookmark it so you've got it, please do, streamfestlive.com. And there is a Facebook group as well called Streamfest. I think it's called just Streamfest. I'll have to look it up. But But yeah, we can. If you search for Streamfest on Facebook, you'll find it. I'll have a quick look in a second and post the link to the Facebook group. Unless you've already got it there, Rudy, you're great on those things. But it's my turn to do your job, isn't it?
I'll put it in. I'll put the links in as usual into the show notes. So if you're interested in becoming a speaker about a live streaming topic or even something else, you said this can be interesting for the community, please come to the Facebook group, or you come to SOLS and we can direct you to Giles or to one of the other people. Normally, this guy from Belgium is not going to stay during Streamfest Live in Belgium, but he's going to take the train to Great Britain, and I'll be live normally also at the pub headquarters. I still have to find some attributes like a gas mask and so, but normally if everything works out, I'm going to be there live and doing my thing, social media, and see that Giles can have rest from time to time. Because if I'm correct, Martin is not going to be all the time over there with maybe a little project. So, but you have to come and watch Streamfest live. Last year was really, really great, and it created a buzz because we did the stream during 12 hours, and I was really knackered afterwards, and I think Giles and Martin also. But yeah, it was so great to do that. Mike is saying, "Wow, Rudy went there gas mask." Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really good last year. It was a fantastic, and you played a massive part in that, Rudy, in holding it together when things were going a bit wrong our end. So that was greatly appreciated, the amount of behind the scenes work that you did. So yeah, let's not forget that.
Elmar is asking, do we need a visa for the UK at this time? So far, it's Elmar I think we're still good. But otherwise, I try to impersonate a Scot or whatever. I wear my kilt and nobody's going to ask me any question. I look like a real Scot, just the hair, but whatever. Okay.
Wow. John could even come down, couldn't he? John's, well, it's a bit of a trek, but you're always welcome, John, to come down to Streamfest.
The more people come to Streamfest, to the headquarters, the more fun we're going to have. It can be a little bit crowded, but, well, we find a solution. Before I end this show, because again we almost touched the 1 hour mark, I really mean it, want to thank my two inspirators, so how do you call them? Giles and Martin, because without those two guys I wouldn't have done School of Live Streaming. So I want to thank them for that. I have to thank them so much. Sometimes I hate them for that, because now I have to do it. But yeah, thanks for being the first guest on my show. I really hope that I can invite other people from the chat room into with a vMix call. So if you want to come into the show, introduce yourself. Don't be afraid. We can have a small talk about whatever you want to talk. And we're going to continue. I think, I'm not sure what I'm going to do next week. Maybe shortcuts and triggers. I have to see, because I'm not that comfortable with that. But let's make mistakes and see what we can learn from it. But again, Giles, Martin, thank you for being on the show. Really appreciate it. And the other people, I hope you enjoyed the show. It was a first off with guests. vMix call is easy. So I hope you start using it. If you want to enjoy yourself, next week, Monday, 8 o'clock UK, a whole show, and the day after, it's my show. Thanks again, everyone, for your valuable input, and I hope to see everyone next week. See you, and bye-bye. Okay, this was it kind of for the official part. We're in doing a little bit of post-show. If people have any questions into the chat for Giles or Martin about live streaming or whatever, please feel free to ask them. John is a little bit disappointed because it's only 55 minutes. Sorry, John. Next week, 5 minutes longer. That was because they were talking so fast. I had plenty other questions, but...
Blame Mr. Warham.
Yeah, blame Mr. Warham.
Yeah, I normally talk slower.
Blame,
Everybody does, it's okay.
blame Mr.
Well,
I blame Tom.
let me try to share my screen, and then I can show you a little bit about vMix call. Where are all my screens? Here, laptop. Let me share it to you. Okay. So if I right click now on Martin's vMix call input and I open call manager, then you normally see that and I have to see that I'm not giving away too much information. So you see here that Martin is sending me 1080p at 4 megabits, 25 frames per second, and there is a latency of, let's say, 250 milliseconds. Giles is sending me 720p at 800 kilobits, also 25 frames per second, and a latency of, let's say, 326, 27. So that's not too bad. You were seeing here that Martin was, not Martin, but it was flashing orange, that there is, that will say that there is a small issue with the connection. But what you can also do is, you see here the button. If I click on this button of Martin and his number, it's going to change to Martin, and under Martin you see the name I have given him. That's the input name. If I click again, it just the name they chose whenever they came into vMix call. So if you click on these buttons, you can change whatever you want to see. I usually let it be like this. What you also can do is, if you save this now, this profile, I have the vMix call of Giles and I have the vMix call of Martin. I always can give them the exact same number. So if Giles and Martin wants to come back again, instead of giving them a new number, I just can give them the same number. So that's something that's easy to do. I don't know, Giles or Martin, if you have something else to... Yeah, Tommy's really not. Tommy's saying that Martin needs a hiccup.
Yeah, I'm just reading chat. Elmar was saying that I'm actually using 4G, so I should have said this before, Rudy. I was testing my 4G router internally without the antennas on, and sending you a full 1080p. So I'm running off my 4G router, but I'm also monitoring the chat on my 4G router, and I've got a few other things open. So that's probably why it is flashing yellow. But I thought, hey, I'll give it a go. I know I shouldn't really do it on your show, and it was a bit naughty, and I should have told you first. So
but it was it's good.
Bad for doing that.
Do we have? Elmar is asking if Giles, if you and Martin are both using vMix for the connection, or if you're using a browser.
Yeah, I'm certainly using vMix. I guess Martin is. I'm also on 4G, by the way.
Yep.
So if you see that both Giles and Martin are on 4G, and we bring them in, more or less without any problems. But you see, if you have vMix and you make the connection from vMix itself, it gives you options. So Giles could choose, okay, I'm going to send through the 720p or even 360 if he has problems. Same for Martin. That's I think the biggest advantage, that you can choose whatever you want to send to the other side. Yeah. And I must say, probably one of the coming weeks, I'm going to try Zoom to explain to people. I don't know, Giles or Martin, if you have a preference for Zoom or vMix. What are the advantages? Because we are using Zoom a lot in WOLS.
For me, just quickly, bandwidth. Sorry, Giles. Carry on.
So for bandwidth, Zoom is better?
I wasn't.
Yeah,
it can be.
For bandwidth.
You take it, Martin.
No, carry. All I was going to say was bandwidth on Zoom is a lot better. It handles things a lot easier than vMix call. vMix call's quite hungry when it comes to that, whereas Zoom, you can get away with I'm often on Zoom out and about on my mobile, and it's fine. So if you're struggling with bandwidth, then Zoom is the way to go. Giles, I'm sure, will add to that anyway.
Yeah, in fact, Mel has picked up one of the things in the chat room. He's saying there's a bit of a delay, and when we set this call up, I actually ticked the box for low latency, which quite often works. I've done test calls with Dave over in the US, and we've managed to get really very low latency calls, as good as Zoom. But Zoom does have very good low latency, and you can bring in more people. It switches between them automatically as well if you want it to, which is handy if you've got a lot of people. And we can arrange it so that people can call into the show. Anybody who's familiar with the World of Live Streaming show will know that we have a button on our chat page which you can press and it pings you straight in, and you can't do that with vMix Call. So, but the advantages of vMix Call are better picture quality, better audio quality, full duplex audio. Zoom's catching up a bit, but it's just so much easier to put a vMix Call though into your production, as you've shown today. When you try and show how Zoom works, there's a lot more to it, as you know. Yeah,
that's why I'm hesitate. I'm not going to do it the first coming weeks. I'll want to test it in 4, and this I know. I tested it. It's really the first time I've bring in someone in via Zoom, via vMix Call, and it's so easy to set up. You just have to. The thing. And I didn't know it, but Giles told me to do that. The first time I made a connection with Giles, it wasn't really working. And I said, what's wrong? And by default, I think my speaker wasn't on my audio, and the follow audio was also ticked. So you have to untick the follow audio, because otherwise, every time you're going to change your inputs, you're going to lose your audio. So you want that people can talk even when they're not in focus. So that's something you have to do. Uncheck those 2 arrows. That was the only thing I had to do, and for the rest, it was. And I'm really happy by how it's working. Also with that's the advantage because I've created 3 boxes side by side. Giles, Martin with me, and Giles with me. So the advantage of is if I'm bringing now other guests, I just have to adapt my lower thirds a little bit, and I can bring them in. If I bring in Giles and Martin again, I don't have anything to do, and I think that's the only thing I miss in Zoom, that you can separate your speakers. If Zoom would have the same ability as vMix, that would be great. But yeah, I think I really like Zoom. The like you said, the auto switching is, people were, when I've been doing twice or 3 times the production for World of Live Streaming, and people were asking how difficult was it constantly switching. I said, I was reeling like this. Okay, just talk at people, and the switching is going to be automatically. I have a sip, I can eat something, and the switching is doing automatically. This is something, of course, with vMix Call. You have other possibilities, but I really like it. If you have to bring in 1 or 2 guests, I think it's amazing. Elmar is saying excellent quality for video and audio. Oh, Tommy is gone. Thank you, Tommy. See you next week, probably. John is asking, Giles, what Zoom package do you use? How much per month? I think you have not the free version.
That's right. I'm running Zoom Pro, which is, I think, $14.95 US per month. It works out at something like
Zoom Pro is let's say 14. It's 14 euro. So it's the Pro version that you're using.
That's right. You can have up to 100 concurrent calls, although that probably includes you as well, so probably 99, which is quite useful if you want to have a large sort of live audience in your program, as it were. Certainly one of the things we're going to be doing for Streamfest, so that you can be a sort of live audience member, which will mean you can ask questions of the speaker and so on directly, just as if you were going to be there. So it has got lots and lots of uses. One thing I would like to add, though, about vMix Call, if you're using the Pro version of vMix, you can bring in 8 calls simultaneously, as you said earlier. But the thing is, you can have all of those 8 callers on the screen at the same time in full resolution if you want to. You can do it with Zoom, because Zoom has the sort of gallery view thing where it just shows everybody, but you don't have a lot of control over it. It has the it just tiles everybody. I've forgotten the name of the show. It's the Brady Bunch, I think it was. Everybody calls it the Brady Bunch look, and that's fine usually, because as people come and go, it organises itself, and that's nice. But if you're using it and trying to capture those little tiles and then it all moves around, that's a complete nightmare. So just don't go there. You don't need to do that. But anyway, that's something for your show on Zoom. But it's a very, very flexible tool. But all of these things, even Skype now, it's going to have NDI in it. They will all have their own particular place and will have their own particular features and benefits that make it more useful to one thing than another, and it's just a case of picking the right tool, I think.
Okay. No more further questions into the chat. Elmar is saying excellent quality for video and audio. Yeah, that's totally correct. Tommy is asking what BTO is, built to order. No, it's a Canadian group. Mike Latta is saying. So Mike was teaching Canadian rock to other people again. Okay, this I'm not going to keep Giles and Martin awake any longer, because they really need their beauty nap. Again, Giles, Martin, thanks very much for being on my show. let's hope that other people are also going to be interested to come onto the show. Thanks again, and see you later. For the rest, thanks everyone into the chat. Hope to see you next week on WOLS or on my show. See you, and bye-bye.